What is the role of thought in human development? Can we paint for ourselves a picture of a satisfactory arc or trajectory or direction of human development, such as it is in relation to what is called thought? So perhaps we can start off with some broad brushstrokes, trying to illuminate the general area within which we will try to think. We say that from one's own immediate experience as a particular person, we find an apparent conjunction of the particular and of what we could call the universal. Meaning, put plainly, on the one hand, whoever it is that I am, I find that I am a particular individual situated historically, temporally, meaning I'm alive now and not before, right? I'm not alive in the 19th century, the 18th century, the 17th century. I'm not around in ancient Roman times and Greek times and so forth, unless I was a person then thinking those thoughts. I'm alive in a given society, in a given place. Further, I have a particular body which stands in sometimes obvious, sometimes not so obvious relations with its organic antecedents, meaning the parents. My parents are tall, I might be tall. My parents were on the shorter side, I might be shorter. Obviously, there's complexities there. Sometimes the child is a carbon copy of a parent, sometimes not so much. So I have a particular body, and further, I have a particular endowment, psychophysical endowment, psychological, physical we mentioned, so psychological, intellectual endowment, certain temperaments, certain tendencies, certain natural proclivities, and such. Right? Basically, I'm a particular. I'm one out of many. Right? What is the proof? Sometimes in philosophy, some such position as solipsism is suggested. Oh, how do I know anybody else exists? What if I'm the only one? So what's the proof that other people exist? So if we think about it concretely, the proof is certainly in the pudding. What is the proof that other bodies exist than mine? Well, what's the proof that my body exists? I can see it if I'm sighted, and I can touch it. Right? I can maybe smell it as well, and such. Now, what then is the proof that other bodies exist? Well, it's the same criteria. I can see other bodies just like I can see my own. I can touch only with permission, maybe a handshake or something, other people's bodies and confirm that they're not just visual illusions. Maybe even smell them and such, right? So the same, or by the same, should we say, criteria that we find out, according to the same criteria that we find out that we have, that I have a body, I can find out that there's other bodies. And just so concerning minds, how do I find out that I even have a mind? Can I see it? Where is it? Right? Well, I can try to speak and see what comes out of my mouth. I can try to write, see what I write, right? That kind of thing. Engage in conversation, see what I say. And that's just the same proof that shows me that there are other minds, because there's things written that I have not written. There's conversations or things said that I don't say. There's things like mathematical formula and paintings and so on and so forth that I certainly did not do. So that's the proof that there's other minds. But that's a side point. The main point would be that I'm a particular person and there are other particular persons. And that's how I start out my experience as. Or in light of that particularity, my initial experience is defined. I am just a little child that wants this and doesn't want that, who is the child of mommy, daddy, guardian, caretaker, whatever the situation is. I'm just a school fellow or school girl, right? I'm just somebody that wants to be this when he or she grows up. I'm just somebody that is on the shorter side, on the taller side. I'm just somebody that looks like this in the mirror. I'm just somebody that has these anxieties, that is worried about the future in this way. I'm just somebody with this particular psychological constitution. I'm a little bit on the more timid side, or I'm a little bit on the bolder side. I'm a little bit on the vainer side, meaning self-obsessed, a little bit less self-obsessed. Whatever the case might be, I go through different phases, right? I go through different stages of life and thought and so forth. But what remains is that I start out again, or the defining, should we say, characteristic is that I start out in life as a particular, as a very small, tiny piece of, for all intents and purposes, an infinite puzzle. Billions of other people, quintillions, whatever it would be, other forms of life, especially if we count the really small ones, such as bacteria and such as plants, and everything that the natural sciences tell us. The big universe, and countless planets it might as well be, and stars, and time too, right? Whatever the best scholarship says, that can be taken as an instance of what is meant. So now then, what direction ought we look to shoot for concerning our development in the broadest connotation, as a person, as an individual, as a human? Whatever we would call it, we could call it mental development, moral development, mental moral development, whatever we want to say. The idea would seem to be that we want to move in the direction of less particularity, in the direction of universality. Why? As was mentioned at the beginning, and perhaps that's a point that we did not yet get to. On the one hand, right, I find myself to be a given particular, to be such and such person, little Johnny, little Sally, little Ellis, little Bobby, whatever the case is. But at the same time, I see that I am, in some very real sense, a center. Right? I am, in some very real sense, kind of a whole world unto myself. Whatever else is going on, however many other people there are, it doesn't help me, right? If I have my own problems. And everybody in the world could be happy and I'm sad, well, then I'm sad. Everybody in the world could be sad, but I'm happy, I'm happy. Even things such as everybody in the world has food, but I don't, I'm starving, that's my problem, and vice versa. Right? So we say that on the one hand, I'm this little tiny kind of particular, this really specific type of phenomenon. And on the other hand, I also find myself to be a center, and I feel that I have unlimited claims, right? We say that many 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, whatever it is, maybe even older, are little tyrants, have unlimited claims. And I want to be the final boss on the playground. And I want to dictate everything. I say no nap time, there's no nap time. I say dessert for dinner, dessert for dinner. I'm going to be a little tyrant. And we see that given the opportunity, many of us do try to shoot for indefinite, limitless power, pleasure, wealth, fame, success, and so forth. And why? If I am just this tiny little bit, as we said, this little particular person, there's so many other people out there in such a big universe and all that. Why do I want to be a Julius Caesar, right? Or a Napoleon, or a big CEO, or a major politician, or very famous on social media, or extremely wealthy, right? And so on? Why do I want to be a champion? Why do I want to be the one? Right? I want to be the man or the woman. I want to be the main one. I want to be the guy or girl. Why? It's strange, right? Again, I'm just this little particle, and yet I have all of these huge claims. It's never enough. There's never enough money. There's never enough fame. There's never enough power, influence, whatever game I'm playing. If I'm really playing it and that's really my game, there's never enough. Right? And if I would live forever, or excuse me, if I could, should we say, I would. Right? Let me live a little bit longer, unless there's other complexities involved. I want indefinite health. I want indefinite happiness. I want my spouse and her children to bring me just supreme pleasure and joy and satisfaction. I want my pet dog to live forever and be the best pet dog that there is. I want to live in the best place of living. I want to be the best, right? All that kind of stuff. So it's this weird thing, it seems. On the one hand, again, I'm just this little body, this little bundle of organs and blood and tissue that was born on a certain date and that knows, at least in the back of one's head, that he or she will go one day. And on the other hand, I am, or I have all of these infinite claims, these indefinite desires. So what gives? So an idea here that has been suggested in the history of thought would be that a person can be construed as a conjunction of the particular and the universal. Which one is true? Is it that I'm a speck and that I'm nothing or next to nothing, dust? Or that I am one that's deserving of these infinite claims? Again, I want this and that and infinite glory and so forth. Which one is it? It could be both. And it could be that a person is a conjunction of the two, right from the start. At the same time, even as I'm a little baby, as I don't understand anything, I'm simultaneously a real center. I'm simultaneously a genuine totality, but I'm also a little baby. We get the idea, not one or the other. And that would seem to continue, obviously, at all times. If that is really kind of a existential fact about the human condition, it doesn't go away. So if it doesn't go away, it need be dealt with. And how it would be dealt with in a healthy way would be, as was mentioned, to kind of loop around back to that point, would be a gradual, consistent, healthy movement in the direction of that universality, in the direction of that inward unity. Right? And that would seem to be accomplished through thought, being that the initial question asked was, what's the connection between thought and human development? Right? How should we think of thought? What does that mean specifically? So we say that starting out from being this little particular dot, this little speck, being basically, empirically speaking, a body and a psychology. This is how I feel physically, and this is how I feel emotionally, and this is what I want, and this is what I need, and this is, or these are my claims, this is what people owe me, and things better go my way. Starting from there, I can move in that direction of inward universality, of inward goodness, and a sense of unity and reconciliation with others. And I do that not through some kind of trick, not through some kind of escapism, whatever we might think of, but through a gradually increasing apprehension of truth, through the clarification of my cogitation, to make the words match, meaning through thought. What are some concrete examples? Let's say that I start out thinking of myself, defining myself in, again, very narrow, particular terms. I am somebody that is very short and unsightly, right? And that's how I think about myself, and that's how I experience life. Now, I can either kind of run from that or ignore that or go about my business, or I can think. I can employ my mind, and I can understand something different. I can have an insight. For example, any range of insights really could work. I'm not synonymous with my body. Let me develop my personality and my mind and be appreciated on those accounts. Let me be successful in some other way. Some kind of insight, some kind of internal progression. And then I can go from being defined by my physical attributes, again, from my own point of view, to not even thinking of my physical attributes. It's no big deal. I start off in an intellectual, emotional phase of thought wherein I am a little child of my parents, or parent, guardians, whatever the case is in a given case. My again, adults in my life, they're all knowing, they're all powerful, and I'm just this little tiny little child, this helpless child. I can remain in that phase of thought, even if physically I grow, or I can think my way out of it. I can mature through it. Right? And then I can come to construe myself also as a powerful, capable adult. And I can have any one of an innumerable amount of complexes, conflicts, neuroses, this tangled web of ideas and self-deceptions such that stand in the way of healthy relationships with others, of being able to be productive in one's creative endeavors, in one's professional endeavors. Alternatively, I can think properly, right? I can mature my mind and I can outthink these issues, right? And have a clear vision of reality. Now, obviously, it need be pointed out that thought here would be employed in a particular way. It wouldn't mean what we normally or oftentimes mean by thought, which is more so just intrusive thoughts, right? Where did I put my keys? Is it going to rain? Oh my goodness, why did I do that? I sounded so stupid. What is he or she going to think? Right? That's a form of thought we could say, but that's not really the thought that will help us out, needless to say. What we mean here by thought is, again, as was mentioned, the conformity of my particular mind with truth, such as it is. Right? So, for instance, that 2 and 2 make 4 can be thought of as truth, period, irrespective of the fact that I am, again, little Ellis, little Johnny, that I am 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, that I'm 100 pounds, 200 pounds, 300 pounds, that I'm from North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and so forth. 2 and 2 make 4. But I can conform my individuality, my individual mind to that fact. I can understand it, I can grasp it, I can know it, and that would be then the sense of thought that we mean, or that is meant at present. That conformity of my individual, or my individuality, broadly speaking, in its intellectual, moral, emotional aspects, to that which is, such as something simple like 2 plus 2 equals 4, but obviously goes on from there, such as those elementary truths that were mentioned. Say, my parents are not all powerful, right? Or I'm not defined by my physical characteristics, something like this. These are all truths as far as they are. Maybe somebody's parents are, right? No, but they're not. So those are truths. And then we need to conform ourselves to those truths. And that would be the sense of the word thought that is presently meant. Basically, a greater adaptation to reality that is sustained throughout a long duration of time in one's life. But the defining characteristic of that adaptation, for it to serve the presently meant purpose, which is to facilitate our growth and our maturity, would be that movement towards universality, inwardly speaking, away from particularity. Again, concretely, specifically speaking, particularity, I am, these are my physical characteristics. I'm ugly, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I'm stupid. This is what people think about me. These are my insecurities. These are my family dynamics, yada yada. This is my narcissism, all that. Very particular, very specific. Moving away from that in the direction of, again, a sense of unity with other people, in the direction of a sense of inner unity and coherence, away from just a kind of a scattered, dissipated, if that's the right term, mind and emotions. 1 second I'm like this, 1 second I'm like that. Right? I feel like this, I feel like that. Away from that, towards goodness, towards unity, towards wholeness. And again, the present theme would be thought. I do this by conforming myself to truth. And I do that by doing my best. Doing my best to think truthfully. I analyze myself. I use my critical capacities that distinguish me as a human being to the best of my abilities, limited as they always are. Right? Some more, some less, but always limited, obviously. But I use them to the best of my ability in order to progress. Right? I'm not interested in pausing at any point. I've spent 50 years thinking about my childhood complexes and conflicts, and I'm still thinking about them. No, it's time to outthink them if I'm thinking properly. I've spent 50 years thinking about my body. Is it nice? Is it not nice? Is it beautiful? Is it ugly? No, that's not the ideal. The ideal is to think enough and then to move on, right? To move in that positive direction of universality, of unity, of wholeness, of goodness, of reconciliation with any and all, as opposed to alienation from any and all, me versus you. So, in summary, we want to move in that direction. One such way, the major way, would seem to be that which could be called thought, but thought not in the sense of intrusive thoughts or just random kind of scatter-minded, who knows what, right? But systematic self-inquiry, which can be done with the aid of another person if we're not used to thinking for ourselves. And for that, we need goodwill, we need good intent, we need to have a positive attitude, we need to have the determination to outgrow our present lowly phases of maturation. But if we do it right, it seems possible. And whatever the case might be, we set our sights on the right direction and we try to move in that right direction, even if only a little bit. So we can think about it. Thank you for listening.